Cool. Oh, that's right. I need this to be all set up and ready to go. Right here. That's right, I can't look at that. YouTube. Where is it? Up here. There we go. I should have prepared that before I started. But oh well. Okay. Okay, stick that there. 2 minutes, we'll get started. Just that real quick. Okay. Let me go get the controller. By the time I get back, here you go. I'm ready to go. Are you ready to go? Okay, good girl. Good girl. All right. Then let's get started right about now. Well, now that this comes up. How you doing, everybody? Welcome back to Demon's Souls, the stream edition. Today will be the finale, because last time we took care of, well, attempted to try out this game's PvP, but we were having a lot of trouble with connecting to the servers, and even when we were connected, we didn't find anybody who really had their signs down, or would invade us, or we could invade them, or anything like that. So I tried for a good 2 hours. Didn't find anything. Unfortunately, we weren't able to demonstrate that aspect of the game. But this time, we're going to walk up these stairs, and we're going to have some words for the King of Boletaria to take care of him once and for all. Let's see, what else do I need to talk about? Right, yes. Before I get started, I might as well mention that I apologize if anybody follows or hosts or anything like that during this session of the stream, because for a portion of it, I'm actually going to have the desktop audio down a lot lower than it normally is. And you'll see why that is momentarily, but we need to, we need to go up these stairs first before that becomes a thing. So, let's head up and see what we can tell the king about his kingdom. But before we go, we have one final Black Phantom enemy to deal with. And he is all too familiar to some of us. Ostrava, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind, man? Okay, let's not get poked there. You're a maniac. What makes you think you could still fight and defeat me? And we finally get the rune sword and the rune shield from him. It's unfortunate that Ostrava would have to meet such a perilous end, but, well, he gave up, and his spirit inhabited here because of anger or something. I don't know, something to do with zombie ghosts. I don't know, and I don't care. What I do care about is that the elevator is now totally open to us, so that is where we're gonna go. I don't even know why I healed that off with fresh spice. I won't need it. But we'll top ourselves off since I might as well at this point. Anyway, so that's gonna take care of all of this. I should probably proc second chance before I go up there. Just to say I did, to make sure that I'm fully prepared. Again, as I mentioned the last time, we're incredibly overpowered for this fight considering we're on regular old new game. But, yeah. I might as well be super prepared. I already have the Ring of Magical Dullness equipped, so that's all fine and good. I should equip the Eternal Warrior's Ring as well so that I can have super ridiculous stamina regen on top of the magic defense buff and everything like that too. Here we have an elevator, which will take us to, is it the throne room or some sort of, I don't know, something else. But the point is this will take us to the final boss fight of the Boletarian Palace area. And I think my tendencies, yeah, they got reset when I went online. Whoops. Okay, but before we go up there, I actually have to do this real quick. You may recall that I previously mentioned that putting music over top of the stream here would be next to impossible. But these are special circumstances. This is the final boss. We gotta have some pomp and circumstance to go on here, so that is what I'm gonna do. Once we get to the top, that is. So I'll probably go quiet on the mic for a few seconds once we get to the top there and during the cutscene that is going to be playing. And then we'll go from there. Long elevator ride though, so we gotta be prepared for anything. Even a fog gate that doesn't want us to go through it. Which, as the case might be, happens to be the kind of fog gate we're going to find at the top of this thing. And if you don't go through it the first time through, you have to wait the entire elevator ride to get back on it, so that kind of blows. So I'm going to mash the button. There we go. I'll be right back. Alright, and there is our final boss, the King of Boletaria, King Allant. Thought I'd find some more appropriate music for this whole thing, so hopefully this doesn't bother too many people. Here he comes. I am not ready for this. As you can see, he has magical wind beams, and they're not very nice. They'll hurt quite a bit if you get hit by it. I mean, I've got the Ring of Magical Dullness, so I probably have more of an advantage than some people. But gotta be careful, because he can do some nasty things to you, like interrupt your spells. That's his soul-sucking technique right there, so don't get hit by that. Nice 462 on this thrust there. Very nice. I'm going to run out of magic, though, in a second. I gotta be careful, too. I don't want to get myself too low on... Okay, that indicates that he's going to use a giant explosion, and you got to get out of there. Basically, if you're not in lock-on range with him, you're safe. So I'm going to roll until I get out of that. But that's your good opportunity for you to heal, if you haven't recently. And as you can see, light weapon did make quite a bit of difference here. So, of course, you can also interrupt him if you have like a bow or anything like that equipped, and I might just do that in a moment. Oh, come on. Like this. And if you stay at range with him, that could be a viable strategy, but as for me, I don't need to stay at range at him. I'm a buffing character, so that's what I'm going to do. Also going to use the opportunity to rebuff my weapon since, you know, I can do so. Did I just hurt him with a push? Excuse me. I don't think that's how that's supposed to work. Uh-oh. Sometimes he'll interrupt himself as well, by the way, and that just... It makes things a little janky when you're trying to fight him, but okay. Do this for the next time he does it and see if he does it again. That'll hurt like a bitch, by the way, if you're not careful. Whoa. Okay. I don't know how I keep dodging backwards through these things, but that's fine. Alright, reapply light weapon. And go from there. Ow. Yeah, this guy's pretty tough if you aren't ridiculously overpowered like I am. He can get kind of nasty with his attacks. I mean, if you're on, like, you know, pure White World tendency at this point, you probably will be fine, but if not, you'll have some trouble. But we got him. All right. Okay. Hopefully I faded that out properly for everybody so that it wasn't janky or ear-piercing or anything like that. But this does call for a little bit of celebration, so let me get our usual victory theme here. I think I'll have... Final Fantasy 7 Victory Fanfare. There we go. What do we got on this here menu in terms of our cheer? That sounds about right. Now, before we touch the Archstone, let's go take one last look at his kingdom for a bunch of souls. That's what he lost. Goodbye, Boletaria. I knew ye well. Sorry, still trying to do this all one-handed.
How did you defeat my precious demon? No human has an appetite for souls such as you. The rest is up to the Old One. If it is to be, then you shall be beckoned.
Well, what is that supposed to mean? I guess we have a date with the Old One, so let's go back to the Nexus and prepare for that. Of course, first, before I do that, let me turn this back up to 7 where it was. And then also go turn up my desktop audio again. Give me 1 second to do that. There we go. We're good. Let's go back to the Nexus. So yeah, he can be a little tricky, but thankfully we are broken as hell and don't really have to worry about that too much. Well, this is different. Normally when I come back here, I just get somebody playing on an organ in the background, but this, well, this is a special occasion, as I mentioned before. That's a powerful sword you got there. It was able to dispel the barrier down there. And the Maiden in Black is observing it. Well, before we check it out and see what she's got going on there, let's go over here for one last little thing. We'll put away some stuff, and then I need to go see the Monumental and see what he has to say about all of this. Because I'm sure he's got a few things that he'd like to tell us before we finish out the game. I'm going to hold on to the False King Demon Soul and Demon Brant because both of those are going to be useful to me. Well, not useful to me, but useful in order to showcase something. So, I didn't even have the Ring of Magical Dullness equipped for that fight, did I? I had the Clever Rats Ring equipped. Oh, that's funny.
We are in.
Oh, well. We won't need those again anyway, so. What can I equip here? How about Regenerator's Ring and Eternal Warrior's Ring? Those seem to be okay. Alright. Let's, actually, we'll repair our gear. Here's the thing, though, is that if you got to this point where you've beaten all the archdemons and the barrier to the bottom of the Nexus there is dispelled, you cannot level up again until New Game Plus. So any of the souls that you gained there are not able to be used. Unfortunately. Oops. Okay. Some quick repairs. We don't need anything else. And now, let's head upstairs to see the Monumental. Then we'll finish this off. Hopefully when we go see the Old One, he'll be a reasonable Eldritch Abomination and allow us to just be like, yeah, you need to stop with this deep fog shit. Mr. Monumental. Anything new to say?
You have destroyed all of the demons. You soon shall hear the call of the Old One. Then, the Candle Maiden shall guide you below the Nexus, where the Old One awaits. She will lull the Old One back to slumber. That is, after all, her purpose.
Huh. Well, I don't hear anything. Maybe I should, but I don't hear anything. Maybe the volume's down too low for me to hear
You
it.
have destroyed. You soon. Then she will. That.
Okay. That's all he has to say. Alright. Let's see if... I don't know if I can actually access... Whoops, wrong way. The Pantheon, or whatever it's called, offline. But I did go through it earlier, so hopefully it's still available. I think it is. Nope. Okay, well, I was going to check it out one last time before I never saw it again, but it wasn't that impressive anyway. It was a bunch of hackers, so... To hack your way into the halls of people who will not be remembered anymore because that feature's no longer going to be available. What shame you must have brought on your family! No, not really. Alright, let's head downstairs and we'll check and see what the Man in Black has to say before we move on. And actually, I wasn't even on pure white world tendency there, and the old king wasn't dealing that much damage to me. Maybe it's just because I have so much vitality compared to how much he probably would have otherwise. Oh well.
Hark, I hear voice of yore. The Old One is calling for thee.
Oh, is he?
Let us
Are
proceed
they?
below to its
Is
lair.
she? I don't know what they would be, but... Okay, I guess we're going down, but do you have a ladder or something? I don't see how we're going to be able to make it down there without totally biting it. Because that's a deep drop, lady. Whoa. Oh. Okay, I guess we're just going to drop. Sure. Why not? They gonna start some sliders shit here or something? No, it just bright light, and then we're down. Never realized how bloody the official cap was until just now. Well, can't keep all my clothes completely clean. That would be too easy, especially with no water. I guess I have water veil, but that's not exactly the same thing. There are some birds to give you an idea of the scale of the thing that you're looking at. So the old one is a giant tree thing. Well, I mean, I guess that makes sense. I mean...
Old One, I have brought thee what thou wishest, thy new demon. Come now, be good.
She just brings it down like a dog or something. Come on, be good. You be good, and I'll pet your head, I'll pet your belly. If I can find it. Well, I guess it's listening to her. That's interesting. There's got to be more going on between these two than we've been told. And here we are on the banks of whatever river this is supposed to be, but we saw this river actually in the opening cutscene at one point. It is, or maybe an ocean even. It's something. It's below the Nexus, so they've accessed some deeply rooted natural order of the planet when they went through here. And I was saying it makes sense that the old one is a giant tree, because if you recall from some Norse mythology, which may or may not be the inspiration here, Yggdrasil is the world tree, and it is the font from which all magical things spring, and all basically things in nature receive their energy. As I recall, I'm not 100% sure on that. I could be wrong. I'm not, as I said with the Asura's Wrath playthrough, I'm not exactly high up on the mythology levels there. But, yep, this is the old one. And apparently he needs a new demon. I can guess as to why, but we'll find out shortly exactly why it needs a new demon. Anything new to say?
Let us proceed below to its lair.
Nope. Alright, well, I'm going in first. You come in when I give you the signal that the coast is clear. feel like I'm going through that one level in Kingdom Hearts in Atlantica where you enter through the dragon's mouth in order to get to Ursula's lair. That's what this sort of reminds me of. Oops. To get chat back, I had to... Okay, enough of the walking. Let's just do this. Just to get through all the branches. That one's not even in my way.
You have been chosen by the Old One. Shalt thou seek everlasting demon souls, or obey that naive monumental? Whatever your choice, you are our first visitor. May you be welcome here.
Yeah, that gives us an idea of why the Old One needed a new demon, because the real Allant was not the one that we just fought. The real Allant is down here, poisoning the Old One from within. And we have to cleanse the Old One of the demon scourge that has caused so much suffering in the world, all for the prosperity of your kingdom. How far the strong and powerful have fallen. Let's see.
Surely you have seen for yourself the pain and suffering that fills this world. But fight poison with poison. God is merciful, and so created the Old One. The Old One will feed upon our souls and put an end to our tragic realm of existence.
Yeah, a realm of existence that you created by your own hand there, Allant. You don't get to decide how the world is going to work because you created a mess and you didn't want to clean it up. Now I have to cleanse the world of your mess, and you're the last step in that cleansing plan. In order to bring about a new world order, I shall destroy you! So this is actually the final boss, but it's kind of a joke. He just flails around. I mean, if he hits you, he'll knock you down and does a pretty good amount of damage to you, but it's nothing we can't handle at this point. Alright. I'm going to give him my best shot for this last one. That wasn't quite enough. Hooah!
Don't you understand? No one wishes to go on.
No, actually, Allant, you don't wish to go on. But you don't get to decide how the world is going to work anymore. Maybe I will. But anyway, for defeating him, we can take this weapon and finally have access to Soulbrand, the other of the two swords. Now, if you walk over towards the center of the Old One, you will trigger the ending. I am going to use this last shard of Archstone that I have to warp out. And you'll see why in a moment. Because there's one last thing that we can do here before we move on. So now if you come back over here, you can actually get down to the Old One by using this Archstone. But before we do that, we need to take the two swords, Demon Brant and Soul Brant, and the False King's Demon Soul to an expert craftsman. Because the tremendous power radiating from the False King Demon Soul will transform the weapon into something much more than the sum of its parts. Excuse me. Soulbrand, by the way, is exactly opposite of Demon Brant in terms of what it does. Basically, with that weapon, the more demonic you become, and by extension, the more towards black character tendency you get, the more powerful Soulbrand's bonuses become. So it's They're twin swords on opposite ends of the poles there, but we have ways of making them much better. And in order to do that, well, let me do this first real quick. Okay, so you can pick either Demon Brand or Soul Brand here, and as long as you have the False King Demon Soul and the other weapon in your inventory, you can forge the Northern Regalia. One of the most powerful weapons in the game. At least if you're actually paying attention to character tendency there. Otherwise, it's a fairly mediocre sword that behaves, I believe, like a two-handed sword, so like a claymore or a bastard sword or one of those things. It probably has the same moveset as Demon Brand and Soul Brand does. But we can take a look at it before we finish out here. Let me just warp back to the Nexus so that we can be doing it right there. I don't remember if the Archstone that we have there brings us to the beach or if it brings us inside of the old one, but we'll find out once I get through this part. But yes, here it is, the Northern Regalia. A little bit heavier than your average sword there, and as you can see, I don't think I have enough. Yeah, I don't have enough strength to use it, so that's why it's got that whole thing going on. But if I equip it, and then I two-hand it, hold on. There it is! Very powerful weapon there, but where would it show it? Probably here. I get absolutely no stat bonuses from it, because it is affected by your character tendency. In the case of Demon Brand or Soul Brand, when you were one way towards one of the directions of character tendency, you would get a bonus, and if you went the other way, you'd get a penalty. With the Northern Regalia, as long as you are in some kind of character tendency, be it white or black, you will get the stat bonuses for it, and you can max it out by being at maximum or pure white or black character tendency. I have neutral character tendency because I didn't do any tendency events this playthrough, so the Northern Regalia is largely useless when compared to something like the Blue Blood Sword, which I get a bunch of bonuses out of. Still pretty strong for a weapon, though. And it's a lot of people do like Vitality Gouge builds where they just level Vitality, or is it Vitality? Or yeah, it's Vitality, to 50, Endurance to 40, Intelligence to whatever they want in order to use Magic, Magic to whatever they want to have enough slots, or no, that's not how Magic works, Magic to whatever they want in order to, like, let's say they have Homing Soul Arrow, they can make it so that they have 5 of them if they get 32 Magic. And then just have enough stats to equip the Northern Regalia, and that's it. But here it is, the legacy of the old Boletaria kings. The shadow this sword casts is of both the Soul Brand and the Demon Brand. Little is known of its origin, even in Boletarian royal family lore, but it is said to have been left in the world along with the old one for malicious purposes. So it was left in the world alongside the old one. And if you believe in the duality between the two, such as the swords that it came from, Demon Brand and Soul Brand, that would mean that one was left here for a bad reason, and one was left for a good reason. So if the Northern Regalia was left here for malicious purposes, that would mean that the old one is not necessarily a malicious god. And in case you didn't catch the part where I mentioned this previously, the Talisman of Beasts hints at it outright, but we didn't get it this playthrough. Saint Urbane, Sage Frake, and all of their disciples were both right. There was a god that created the soul arts and the miracles that the world has been using in Boletaria in order to get by. But that god was one and the same. It was the old one. And now we have to decide what to do with him. Oh boy. See, I really like the ending of this game. It kind of, in some cases, you play through to the end of these Souls games and you're kind of left with more questions than answers. By the end of Demon Souls, if you've done like enough searching, and it's not really that much, especially if you've gotten, done all the tendency events and stuff like that, you pretty much have answers to any questions that might have come up throughout the playthrough that you did. So I appreciate that fact out of Demon Souls more than I do any other Souls game. The fact that they were able to wrap up their story without you having to do too much digging and interpreting for yourself. A lot of people enjoy that sense of open interpretation, and I do too, when they kind of leave it open to your own creativity to fill in the blanks. But I also appreciate the fact that they would fill in the blanks themselves with some ideas. And I'm still jumping to some conclusions by saying that the Old One is the god that both Saint Urbane and Sage Freyk quote-unquote believe in. But they make it obvious enough to where you don't have to really strain for any of the conclusions that you make. So that I can appreciate. But we have a job to do. Let's go do it. So this is the Old One, huh?
Thine work is done.
Sure is.
Slayer of demons, go back above.
Okay, and what about you?
The Nexus shall imprison thee no longer.
Well, I do have my body back, so I suppose that would make sense.
I shall lull the Old One back to slumber.
And one of the questions that usually comes up for a lot of people is, who is the Maiden in Black, and, what is her purpose, all of those things. She has an intricate connection to the Old One, and you can kind of see it from here, that she's just this sort of ancient, incredibly powerful demon, perhaps even one half of the whole part of the Old One. And by lulling it back to slumber, they become one being again. That's kind of me jumping to conclusions, but that's usually what I come up with when I think about this sort of stuff. But she has to be here in order to lull the Old One back to slumber and create a world where we don't have to worry about the deep fog. So you can choose to do one of two things here. You can either stab her in the back and take the Old One's power for yourself, or you can leave and allow her to put it back to sleep. We're choosing the latter option. You cannot get the Red Eye Stone if you choose this option,
thanks.
though.
At last, my duty is fulfilled.
Well, I'm glad that you took care of your business there. But yeah, you can't get the Red Eye Stone if you take this path. You have to kill the Maiden in Black in order to be able to play in PvP in New Game Plus with people via a summon sign. But we're not concerned with that anymore because this is the end of the playthrough. So we're going to leave. And we'll head back out with the world at our fingertips and our fate freed from the Nexus and Boletaria. I guess the real question is, where will we go next? I suppose only our character knows the answer
along
there.
With the Maiden, were swept back into the lulling fog. Boletaria was spared from the demons, but also lost its knowledge of soul arts.
Guess we can get rid of the insanity
The
catalyst now,
souls
huh?
lost during the pandemonium were never retrieved. And today, the unstable world has another monumental to hold its fabric together.
The real question is for how long, but considering the number of souls
New hero of unprecedented power.
that we accumulated throughout the playthrough, I think we'll be okay. There's a new sheriff in town, and he's ready to bring order to the world. And that's the game, ladies and gentlemen. It's sad to see it coming to an end, because I know that a small part of it that I never truly got to experience to its fullest is coming to an end as well very shortly after this is over. And I'll never be able to take part in it, in something that a lot of people really enjoyed. But with that being said, there are other Souls games that use very similar designs in terms of the PvP that Demon's Souls used. I don't think they ever did... Well, let's think about this. I don't think they ever did anything exactly like the Old Monk again. They did something similar in Dark Souls 2 with the Mirror Knight boss. So I suppose there is that option, which we can still go and do. But that will have to wait for another day. For now, we're going to rest on our laurels, knowing that we brought some peace and some semblance of order to the world. And yeah, this credits music, man, Return to Slumber. Both credits musics are fantastic. If you kill the Maiden in Black, you get a couple of extra things. You get the what's it called? You get the her soul at the end of the credits. And you get the Red Eye Stone. But you also get an alternate credits sequence. And it has its own music called Let Strength Be Granted. And it's also fantastic. I will link both of them in the description of this video in the archives on YouTube. And I don't like the idea of talking over them too much, but they're both very good. And I'd like to say that the entire soundtrack is really good. There are some standout tracks, although most of the ones for me that are real standouts are the ambient ones. The Nexus's music is always phenomenally good, and that sort of a thing, you know. But it's tracks like this one at the very end that really define the soundtrack, I think. It's not that the other music in the game isn't good, because it is. It just doesn't have the same feel to it as this one. And Let Strength Be Granted and some of the ambient tracks. Those tracks make you feel something, man, that you don't necessarily get out of all the video games that you play and all of the soundtracks that you listen to. But this track kind of gives you that feeling. It's melancholy because you didn't fully succeed. The people who died in this event, as they said, and the souls that were lost were never retrieved. So there were a ton of people that just flat out died and will never come back. Maiden Estrella, Garl Vinland, probably Selin Vinland, a few others. They're gone. They're never coming back. Boletaria has claimed them and consumed them. But that is the price that you pay in order for the rest of the world to live in peace. Whether that's worth it or not is really up to the interpretation of the player, but I think it's the fact that the music can perfectly encapsulate that. It's telling. It means that the music is doing its job very well, I think. Yeah, this is one of my favorite tracks. Probably, if I had to rank them, and again, I'm no good at ranking these games because I like them all for different reasons. But this is probably my second favorite track. It really depends, though, if I've played this more recently or Dark Souls 1 more recently, though, because Nameless Song is also fantastic. What's number one on the list? Well, you'll find out eventually. Oh, we do get her soul anyway. Oh, okay, that's interesting. I didn't remember that part. But that's it. That's Demon's Souls. Very good game. I really enjoy it. It's a very good first entry in the Souls series, and even though FromSoft had some experience with, a lot of experience by the time we got to this game of creating video games before this, this is kind of where they really broke out of their shell. They sort of said, okay, we've taken ourselves seriously before, but we need to do something special for this new bit of technology in the PlayStation 3. What can we do? And this is what they came up with, and I'm really impressed. It's a very, very solid entry in the series, a very good start for the series, and I applaud FromSoft for their consistently good games that they put out. And this one, obviously, is one of them. But the game is not technically over. When we played Dark Souls 3 blind, we were able to come back to Firelink Shrine and complete side quests before we continued to New Game Plus. Not so in Demon Souls.
Lost, withdrawn from its vessel. Let strength be granted so the world might be mended.
So the world might be mended. The Count of Boletaria rises again! I'm alive! Oh, no, I'm not. Ugh.
This is the Nexus. It holds together the northern land of Boletaria. Thou canst not exit the Nexus, but each of the 5 archstones will connect them to another.
And this may appear all too familiar, because we're starting New Game Plus right here. So yeah, you don't have the option to start New Game Plus in Demon Souls and in Dark Souls 1. From Dark Souls 2, actually I don't think you have the option in Bloodborne either, but in Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3 you have the option of choosing when to go into the next playthrough. Demon Souls, not so. As soon as you beat the final boss and witness the credits, you are sent spiraling into New Game Plus whether you like it or not. You'll have to deal with it from there. All of the amenities that were available to you before you beat the old one are no longer available. You have to find Sage Frake again. You have to find Saint Urbane again. If you didn't get something from them on a previous playthrough, you're going to have to play through the rest of the game again in order to do it. So make sure you take care of all your business first before you beat the end of the game there. Use that Shard of Archstone that I had in my inventory there if you wanted to make the Northern Regalia or whatever you wanted to do, because you won't have the chance once those credits roll. But this is where we're going to call it for the day and for this playthrough. This is it for Demon Souls. A farewell and a fond one to Boletaria. And hopefully I've done it some justice. Not all of it, because we didn't do any of the tendency events, but those are things that we can do offline and things that we can do much easier in the future. Because when you're offline, you can actually manipulate world and character tendency a lot easier than you would be able to otherwise. So perhaps we'll return to Boletaria one day, but for now, the sun sets on it, and we are going to leave it behind in favor of moving on to other games that I am going to be selecting. And the next one that I'll be selecting is one that was suggested by one of my viewers. So look forward to that. I will be setting that up this Thursday, and then this Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, we will start up a brand new game suggested by one of my viewers. What will it be? You're going to have to find out when next we meet here on Monochromium Live's streams. Thank you for watching, everybody. I appreciate all of you coming out to Twitch and YouTube in order to check out what I've been doing. I'm so thankful, as I said during this playthrough, for all of the support that I've received from everyone. And I'm gonna continue doing what I'm doing. We'll be going strong for as long as I can here, because I'm enjoying the way that I've gotten used to playing games in this way. It gives me a little bit of extra structure to look forward to each day. Breaks up the monotony, if you will. But I'm gonna stop waxing poetic here. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I will see all of you on the next episode of whatever I decide to post next. Take care, and have a fantastic day. Gotta tell you, though, the hat and the outfit look fine, but as soon as I take the hat off, yeah, just doesn't quite have the same impact, does it? Is there a, this is the shrug one, right? Yeah. Doesn't quite have the same impact. Much better.